January isn't dangerous because people quit. It's dangerous because they commit to the wrong thing. At the start of the year, most people lock themselves into a direction before they actually see clearly. They choose goals. They choose identities. They choose a version of themselves they think they should become. And once that choice is made, everything else gets filtered through it. What to do, what to ignore, what to push away. That's how the year quietly narrows. Not because life limits you, but because you decided too early who you are supposed to be. Right now, notice this. There is a subtle pressure to define yourself, to decide what this year is about, to give it meaning before it unfolds. That pressure feels responsible, it feels mature, but it's also how possibility closes. Because the moment you define the path, you stop seeing what doesn't fit the plan. And what doesn't fit is often the most honest signal you'll get all year. So before this year moves forward, before you align yourself with the story, pause here. Not to plan, not to prepare, but to see what happens when you don't decide who you're becoming yet. When you don't decide too early, something unusual happens. You start noticing signals you usually override. A quiet lack of interest, a hesitation you'd normally label as fear, an attraction that doesn't make sense to your plans. Most people call these distractions. They're not, they're information. But information only matters when you're not busy defending a direction. The moment you commit to a version of yourself, you stop listening. You start managing your time, managing your energy, managing your image of progress. And management slowly replaces honesty. That's why so many people feel tired just weeks into the year. Not because they're doing too much, but because they're carrying a decision that was never fully true. So instead of asking, "How do I stay consistent?" ask something more precise. What am I forcing myself to want? That question is uncomfortable because it doesn't come with a plan. It doesn't offer control. It asks for attention. And attention without agenda is something most people haven't practiced. If you let yourself stay undecided a little longer, you'll notice the urge to rush, to choose, to lock something in, to feel secure about where this is going. That urge is not intuition, it's anxiety wearing the mask of responsibility. You don't need to eliminate it, just don't let it decide. Because clarity that's rushed is usually borrowed. Real clarity arrives quietly when nothing is being pushed, and when it does, it doesn't feel like a big beginning. It feels obvious, unforced, almost boring. Which is exactly why it lasts. Stay here a moment longer. Let the year remain undefined. There's more information available before you choose anything. And it only shows itself when you're not already moving away from it. Most people never hear this part because it doesn't feel useful at first. When you stop deciding too early, you don't immediately feel clearer. You feel exposed, unproductive, slightly behind, like you're missing something everyone else already chose. And that feeling is exactly why people rush back to goals, routines, and identities. They mistake discomfort for being off track. But discomfort here isn't a signal to act. It's a signal that you're no longer hiding inside a plan. Plans are comforting because they answer questions before life asks them. When you drop the plan, life starts asking real questions. And those questions don't come as thoughts. They come as tension, as uncertainty, as moments where you don't know how to label yourself. That's where most people leave. They call it not aligned. They call it confusion. They call it losing momentum. But what's actually happening is that the automatic version of you is losing authority. And it doesn't go quietly. It tries to pull you back with urgency. Just decide something. Just commit. Just move forward. Forward into what? Into the same structure with a different name. So here's the quiet shift most people never let complete. Instead of asking, "What should I do next?" you start noticing, "What keeps pushing me to decide?" That question changes everything, because the pressure to decide is not coming from life. It's coming from the habit of needing certainty to feel real. When you see that clearly, even once, you can't unsee it. And something subtle changes in how you listen, how you choose, how you move. Not dramatic, not spiritual, just more honest. This channel exists for people who are willing to stay through that honesty, not to get answers, but to notice the moment where answers stop being necessary. If you're still here, you're already closer than you think. Not closer to a result, not closer to an answer, closer to the moment where you stop needing one. Most people leave right before this point, not because it gets difficult, but because nothing dramatic happens. No breakthrough, no confirmation, just a quiet noticing that the urgency has weakened. And without urgency, the old motivations don't work anymore. That's when people panic. They think they're losing direction, when in reality, they're losing compulsion. And compulsion was never clarity. So if something feels different right now, slower, less defined, less urgent, don't fix it. That's the space where real choice becomes possible. Not reaction, not habit. Choice. Before this video ends, do one simple thing. Don't explain this to yourself. Don't turn it into a lesson. Just notice this question. What am I about to rush into, just to avoid staying here? Whatever comes up, leave it in the comments. One sentence, no context. You'll see you're not the only one standing at this edge. And if you want to keep exploring without rushing back into old patterns, subscribe. This channel isn't about finding answers. It's about staying where the questions lose their grip. Let the video end here.